Comrade President and General Secretary of the All India Youth Federation, obvious bearers of the AIYF, Comrade Bakshi, Comrade Reddy, General Secretary of the All India Student Federation, dear delegates, comrades, who are participating in this national conference. I'm extremely happy today to be getting this opportunity to talk to you on the very important issue which Comrade Tirumala has told you. And I'm very sure that this conference will take very important decisions to unite and mobilize the youth in our country to face the emerging challenges in our country. This topic, this issue, jobs and unemployment, is very important for the youth, but I believe it is important for the country as a whole. We are aware of the historic role played by the All India Youth Federation right from the inception and its contribution to the youth movement in the country. And for the youth, the job is very important, that is a priority. But we are aware in our country, unemployment always has been a problem, huge problem. But today we are finding the level of unemployment has assumed vast proportions. It is not only our youth federation, it is not only the left and progressive political parties that we are talking about the unemployment problem in this country. Today even the right-wing economists are unable to hide the fact that unemployment is a very huge problem. And not only unemployment, today we are finding that we are talking of jobless growth. After independence in our country in 1947, when we have taken the path of planned development, first 5-year plan, second 5-year plan, there are growth 4%, 4.5%. That is the rate of growth of the Indian economy. At that time also, unemployment was there. But employment opportunities also were side by side the growth in the country. If the economy was growing by around 4.5%, the employment generation was growing by 2%, 2.5%. So that was in the 60s and 70s also. Then later when this new economic policy, globalization, privatization, liberalization, that was implemented in the country, at that time also growth was there. And the government has been claiming 8%, 9% growth. But the employment growth was not at all there. That is why they were telling that it is not growth of job along with the growth of the economy. Then only the term came jobless growth. But now we are in a new situation It is not only jobless growth, it is job loss growth. Earlier growth was with jobs. Then it was growth without jobs. Now we are in a very dangerous situation where the growth is reducing the jobs. And very rightly Thirumalai observed here that we also see growth is there. Whether the growth is benefiting the people, whether the growth is resulting in more and more employment for the people, that is the issue that we are concerned. And I am very happy that the topic has been chosen as a part of the deliberation in the conference that we are holding. And who else can be concerned about employment more than you and I? Because youth is directly concerned with the job. And so this topic is very, very important that you are discussing. But it is not only an economic issue or a subjective matter that I am educated, I am youth, I want some job. It is not a personal issue. It is not only an economic issue, it is a political issue. Because in our country we know that the policies of the government are responsible. The present unemployment, the increase in unemployment is a consequence of the political policies of the government. The government is aware that the growth is not resulting in more and more creation of jobs. Job can be created, that is not an issue. But the point is that their policy and agenda is not to create jobs. Their priority is something else. Their priority is only growth and helping the capitalists in our country. And that is why this is not an issue for them. Even though the government is fully aware, now they are not publishing statistical data where the real unemployment situation is reflected. But all of us are aware. And more economies are also openly now they are confiding, they are talking that the unemployment situation has swelled like anything. No longer anybody can hide the problem. The unemployment today is unprecedented. In the last 4 or 5 decades, this much of unemployment has never been there. And instead of finding solution to the problem of unemployment, we find that they are not at all bothered. On the other hand, they are continuing their own policy to help profit maximization in the country, and which is consequently reducing the job opportunity. So not only there is growth without job, but today we are in a situation where there is growth which is resulting in reduction of job. Existing jobs of the workers are being lost, leave alone creating more jobs. And that is why it's a very huge problem. And naturally it is very, very important that we project this issue, make it a national issue, national agenda, and create a movement. Not only where we fight, it become an agenda and movement of the common people in this country. Because India is one of the youngest society in the world. We are very developed countries. We are the Western countries, European countries. But India is very young. Perhaps the largest number of young people in the world are in India. I have been touring many parts of the world. Particularly Europe, when you walk, you will find more old people with walking stick. Whereas in India, you will find more young people because Indian society is a very young society. So in India, particularly creating job is very, very important, very critical, very crucial, very pivotal. And that is why the government must take the responsibility to create more and more jobs. But we are finding in a successive budget of the government, this is not an issue at all for them. They never address the issue of unemployment in this country, but they talk very big things. We have Madam Nirmala Sitharaman now. Unfortunately, she is from my state, Tamil Nadu. She is giving big lecture. Sometimes she is unable to continue the lecture. She becomes tired. 1 hour, 1.5 hours, 2 hours, she is giving lecture. But there is no agenda how to create more jobs in the country. Because today we are finding the entire budget is how to boost the wealth of the people who are already exploiting the society. How to boost the income, how to boost the assets of the people. Because openly the government, the Prime Minister of the country, because all of us know who is the wealth creator in the world. The workers are the creators of wealth in the world. But unfortunately, very shamefully, very regretfully, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he openly says that Ambani, Adani, rich people, corporate people, they are the wealth creators. So this is the conflict that we have today. That the reality is that we need more and more jobs so that the workers will create more wealth. India has to become a very strong economy. We fully agree, that is our demand, that is our dream. That India should emerge as a very strong economy. Because earlier also India was a very strong economy. The entire world over they were coming to India. From China they were coming, from Egypt they were coming, from Rome they were coming, from British they were coming. All these things you know in part of history. India was commanding the height of the economy in the entire global economy. But over the years we find so much of invasion. And particularly the British invasion, they came for trade and commerce. They came as East India Company. But ultimately they invaded India and we became slaves. And for 200 years they were looting our country. And when they were driven out, it is not that they went out, they were driven out. Today history books are also being written, so many things are being twisted. All of us know Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated. But now we are finding books that Mahatma Gandhi passed away. Although due to old age Mahatma Gandhi died. Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated, he was murdered. But they are rewriting the history. So today we also are being told that British came and went. British did not go, British was driven out of the country. But in the 200 years of exploitation by the British imperialism, India became so backward. And that is the priority of the country from 1947, how to go forward. So any economic policy of the government has to ensure that the economy goes forward. Because if the economy will go forward, the people can progress. But today that is not the priority. The priority is completely different in the present political dispensation. That is why today it is an additional added responsibility for the All India Youth Federation to generate a movement of the people in this country where we are not only fight the issue of unemployment, we have to politically fight where there is an impact on the political system in the country. That is very, very important for all of us. We know that. And very rightly, Comrade Tirumala said again that we are not ordinary NGO organization or a bhajan mandal, Ram, Ram, Ram like that, or Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya. We are political activists, we have a political agenda. And that is why this conference, this seminar, this topic is also very, very important. What is the meaning of the jobless growth? It creates a situation where there is growth. They say growth is important. Here we also agree. But it does not lead to any creation of jobs. Today we are funding in the budget. It is not that we are talking. We are funding in the budget also. There is absolutely no proposal where the jobs will be created. For creating jobs, we have to have a policy. We have to have more and more investment which will generate more job in our country. All of us know India predominantly depends on agriculture. And so there should be a conscious policy attempt to modernize agriculture. But today, because agriculture is neglected, the crisis in the agriculture is not addressed. The farmers are fighting in the country, but the government is busy in enacting anti-farmer laws. The present government agenda is a 4-point agenda. And all of us know what they want to do. They want economic reforms. They want banking reforms. They want agricultural reforms. They also want labor reform, because these are the 4 areas which are troubling them. If there is a strong labor movement, trade union will fight. If there is a strong agriculture workers or agriculturist movement, they will fight. So that is why they don't want people to fight, because they want a trouble-free environment to loot. And that is why there is crisis in agriculture. India spending more investment to modernize the agriculture. They are creating more and more hurdles where agriculture will continue to be the same. And that is why today we are finding from agriculture there is migration of people from agriculture sector to other sector, informal sectors. A bulk of the people who are today involved in the informal sector, they are people who have migrated from agriculture, because agriculture is no longer remunerated. The farmers have been fighting. Hats off to the farmer because of their sustained struggle. The recent struggle of the farmers is one of the outstanding struggles of the Indian people. And we have to red salute our farmers for their wonderful struggle. They struggled, they sacrificed. And today people believe that Narendra Modi is a very strong man. Bailwan hai. 56 inches. So people think that nothing can be done. We cannot fight him. Whatever he does, he can do. He is very powerful. But we have seen by the united struggle of the farmers, by the consistent prolonged struggle of the farmers, the same Narendra Modi had to come and tell the people, I am withdrawing all the 3 farm laws. That is the history of the Indian fighting people. But the crisis continues. What do they want? Whether all the farmers want one helicopter or aeroplane, what do they, or some car? They want minimum support price for the thing that they are producing. Minimum support price is the demand that is not being accepted by the government. So agriculture continues to be in crisis. Similarly, we are not an industrial nation. We are neither completely depending on agriculture nor we are industrial. We have become a service sector country. Because where jobs will be created, jobs can be created in agriculture, because that is our major industry. Similarly, manufacturing sector, in factory workers will be there. Today, because of these new economic policies of globalization, liberalization, whatever it is, now production is increasing, but workforce is not increasing. There are factories which are investing huge money. They are producing. But we find hardly 300, 400, 1000 workers are there. So that is why today we find That is, there is a shift where the manufacturing sector is not given importance. Where there will be more and more job creation other than agriculture in the factories. But today we are finding that factory is not being what you call small scale industry, medium industry, which will create more job, but today that is not the priority. Today the priority is capital investment companies. More capital is involved, but not labor intensive. We need more and more labor intensive factories where more jobs will be created. And today from job creation we are also finding it has a linkage with the education system in the country. Education is important, but it is not that education will lead to all people will be in research. Education also should be helpful to get more and more employment. But today we find completely there is a dealing. In banking industry, you said I am from the banking industry. Yes. Banking industry is a commercial activity. But today we are finding who is joining the bank only last month, April. The result for the recruitment has started. We are finding out of 100 people who are selected for bank job, 99% of them earlier, when we used to join the bank, BCom people will be joining the bank. Engineer will be joining a factory. But today we are finding out of 100 people who are recruited in the bank, 99 people are BE or BTech or MTech or ME like that. That means there is a link between job creation and also employment in this, education in this country. Because the education system is also today completely privatized, commercialized. So we are finding today it is not an independent standalone problem. Unemployment problem is separate, we can fight. Everything is today linked up. And today we are finding the economic policy is also arising out of the political policy of the government. So as Youth Federation, when we discuss all these things, it is an integrated problem. We cannot only separately fight this, we can fight for more jobs. We are fighting. In the banking industry, I can tell you, there are nearly 2 lakh permanent jobs in the banks. In clerical cadre, in subordinate cadre, 2 lakh jobs. But how many they are recruiting now for this year after our struggle? 12,000 people are being recruited. After we gave a strike call, now another 15,000, maybe 27,000 people. But vacancies are 2 lakh vacancies. As I told you, now their policy is profit maximization. Now in the banking also the government is telling, because the government is a model employer. Government should create more jobs, but we are finding in the government, they are not creating job, they are reducing the job, even in government service, state government, central government. And when we say unemployment and creating more jobs, we mean permanent job, regular jobs, safe jobs. But today some jobs are being created in the periphery. That is contract job, casual job, outsourced jobs, not regular jobs. But unfortunately, the Modi government is setting a wrong example, and their today agenda is fixed term employment. In a long career for more than 20, 30, 40 years, the people have to work. But today we are finding the government is talking of fixed term employment. Fixed term means maybe 4 years or 5 years, even in the government, military. In the defense sector also they are talking of Agnipath and Agniveer. That means for 4 years only you will be there after that. So when the government is becoming a wrong model, naturally the corporate, the employer, the capitalists are also very happily following that. And they are also eager to increase more non-permanent jobs. They are trying to create more temporary jobs, casual jobs, contract jobs. Outsourcing has become a pattern. And this disease is now coming to the state government, LIC, GIC, railway, banks, everywhere. Only 2 years ago, regularly we go for negotiation for increasing our wages, banks, with the Banks Management Association. The bank management suggested to us that we are ready to give you some more extra money, extra salary. But in turn you have to sign an agreement that in future permanent job in the bank will not be there. You agree to convert the permanent job into contract job. Why they wanted it? Why they were willing to give little more salary to the existing people? Because contract employment means lesser money, lesser wage, and long-term liability is not there. So the management was willing to give me more money, provided I agree that I will in future there will be no permanent job, only contract job. Immediately from my union I said, yes, I am ready to sign an agreement. They were very happy. I said, today I will sign an agreement that you fill up all the 2 lakh vacancies in the banks, and I will agree to reduce my existing salary by another 5,000, give more job for the unemployed youth in this country. That is what is required today. They want to now today somehow reduce this liability of wages because they feel that wage is a liability. Whereas wage is an investment. Even now we are finding what is the problem in the Indian economy. Madam Nirmala Sitaraman, she is going on telling, no, we are investing so much. What is that? They are concentrating on the supply side. They are giving concession to the corporate. But how our Indian economy can be further revived? Only by creating more demand. Even if you give 10,000 crores, 100 crore, 1,000 to the big owners of the factories, they will produce. But who will buy? Because the people have no money, the youth has no job, where is the money? So naturally to enable more and more consumption, which will increase the demand, you should ensure that more money is available with the people. From where the money will come to create more jobs, that they are not doing. They are reducing the jobs, they are reducing the income. And now recently I read something, Kaushik Boshu. He was the first Indian to be the chief economist of the World Bank. He said it is no longer possible to hide the fact that to talk about Indian growth story, whereas the workers are losing job, workers' salary as a proportion to the total India's economy is coming down. That means the workers are having less money, and you are talking of Indian economy growing, fastest growing economy. And they are talking of what is that? Amrit Kaal aa gaya. Kisko aa gaya aapka malum hai? We are going to be the top economy in the world. Yes, we want it. But at what cost? We are without creating job in the paper, in the country. So naturally that is the whole policy is today defective. And we are finding that the government has no priority at all. And that is why youth is neglected. That is why today we find unemployment is increasing, and even though the GDP is growing, that itself is very defective. What is GDP growth? It is less at the better. My salary is 1,000. Another rich man, his salary is 1 lakh. What is GDP? Per capita income? 1 lakh plus 1,000 divided by 2. That means 55,000. My salary is 1,000. Other man is 1 lakh. And they say what is GDP per capita? They say it is 55,000, whereas my real income is only 1,000. So that itself is a misnomer. You forget it. But the point is that whatever growth is there today, when it is not leading to jobs, what is the point of all these big things that they are talking about? And that is why from the economic problem today we find it's a political problem, political crisis. So unless we address the political crisis in an integrated way, and political crisis is not affecting only the youth, it is affecting the students, it is affecting women, it is affecting workers, it is affecting the common people in the country. Everybody is affected by the politics. Price is going up. Whether only workers are affected, we are fighting for more dearness allowance, more bonus. But price rise is increasing, affecting everybody. Similarly, unemployment is also a social problem, political problem. It is not your problem alone. And that is why today we find, unless there is going to be a change in the approach, and today we are finding there is a structural issue, there is a policy issue. And there is a political understanding of the present government. Structurally today we find that they don't want this at all. They are not bothered about creating more and more jobs. They are only talking about GDP, GDP, GDP. All their policies are aimed at it, that somehow they want to show only the GDP growth, unmindful of what is the reality. They know the reality. The government knows it, but still they are pursuing this policy. That is why it is very, very important that they may claim we are the fastest growing economy, but we know the reality, and that is the paradox. That they said there is growth, but there is no growth in employment. On the other hand, the employment rate is coming down, it is minus. It is on the reverse gear. Growth is there, but there is no employment. Existing people are losing the job. On the other hand, today we are finding that the government is also talking of labor reforms. It may not be directly connected to you because you have no job. So you are not a laborer, you are a youth, unemployed youth. But today we are finding that they are also talking. For example, Comrade Tirumala said about banking privatization. Privatization is also an issue for the youth. Because I can tell you my example of the banking industry. Prior to 1969, all the banks were private banks. In our country, all banks were private banks. And from our All India Bank Employees Association, and that time we are inspired by great leaders of the AIBE and the Communist Party of India, we are inspired. And we found that not only we have to fight for our better wages, better service condition, we found that banking industry is very important. Banks are dealing with the people's money. But the people's money is controlled by the capitalists. Tata was having a bank, Birla was having a bank, at that time Ambani was not there. All this, Bajaj, all the people, they were having the bank. Bank will collect the money of the people and they were using the money for their own industrial production and profit, not connected to the benefit of the people. And that is why from the All India Bank Employees Association we decided that we have to demand nationalization of the banks. And from nationalization of the bank from 1969 today, in 69 there were only less than 1 lakh total bank employees in the country. And today we have more than 10 lakh employees in the bank. Job creation has been done because the banks were nationalized. Today the government wants to privatize the banks. Nirmala Sitharaman has announced in the parliament we want to privatize and privatize. Narendra Modi is also telling public sector is not my agenda.